Guess what I'm talking about today? COVID-19, a clear and present danger. Yes, we're talking about COVID-19 again. And this is literally just a quick word of caution. I mean, who isn't tired? And who isn't ready to relax? Who isn't ready, listen, to let loose and live? Who isn't tired of being cooped up and locked down and held hostage by COVID-19? I mean, for something that was supposed to blow over in a week or two, and here we are 2 years later. Yes, this is getting tired and getting old fast. We paid our dues. And after all, we have a right to live. We have a right to have a good time and enjoy life. We are Americans, and nobody tell us what to do. Yeah. Most have been tested, some have been vaccinated, and a few are still wearing masks. So what's the big deal? And whether you realize it or not, and whether you want to accept it or not, that is a big deal. And the big deal is, with COVID-19, there's a clear and present danger. Come on in and let's talk about it. And maybe I can explain the big deal. Well, this is my take, so don't hate. Good Thursday morning, and welcome to another episode of My Take. Yeah, my take, yeah, on this beautiful Thursday, December the 9th. December 9th, 2021. Let me ask you to go through a quick exercise real quick. Open your eyes wide and say, good morning, world. Come on. Good morning, world. All right. Now take a deep breath. Deep. Again, take a deep breath. In and let it out. Yeah. Now pinch yourself. Don't be scared. Come on, pinch yourself. Do it like Mom and them used to do. Ow. All right, now, let me ask you something. Now isn't that, that was a real simple experience, but an example, but isn't that much better than being strapped to a bed with a mask covering your face, your whole face, and tubes running everywhere while you desperately suck for air and beg for your life? Unfortunately, there are many that go through that type of experience with COVID-19. And aren't you glad you woke up in your bed and not on a bed of affliction or on your cooling board? Aren't you glad to see family and friends and celebrate birthdays and Thanksgiving and graduations and Christmas? Aren't you glad you can still celebrate with them? Isn't it great that we can still move, we can still breathe, and isn't it wonderful that the blood still runs warm in our veins? When every last one of us could have been a victim of COVID-19. We could have been. Isn't it good that you can read your children and your grandchildren a good old bedtime story instead of someone reading your last will and testament? I think it's good. I think it's a good thing that we are dressing for work or dressing for church instead of someone dressing us for a funeral. Do you realize that there are threats to our way of life, threats to life itself? Are you aware of the many clear and present dangers that surround us day in and day out that threaten the very existence of humanity? A clear and present danger means something that could be or is an immediate threat to society or to a people or to a person. It's a clear and present danger. And we are constantly under threat of something happening to us, something going wrong. And we're constantly at risk of dangerous and deadly occurrences that could take us out at the drop of a hat. COVID is far from being the only thing that we ought to be concerned about. But as I look at this COVID-19 and how it is magnified by the fact that it is unpredictable. It's not completely known how one contracts it or how it spread. We've not been able to identify the origin of it, even though some claim they know. We don't know about all the possible carriers, the effects that it has on some people but don't have the same effects on other people, symptoms that some go through and others don't go through. We don't know. It can be quick and deadly, or it can be nothing more than symptoms of a common cold. And it can change disguises, and go from one variant to another. I mean, there's a clear and present danger here, my friend. And now we're acting like there's nothing going on, acting like there's nothing happening. That's why we're led to go right back, come start all over again, and let's take a look at this COVID-19 and our attitude towards it and our behavior towards it. So how do you feel about living with danger? Would you be afraid? Would you flip it off as that's just the way it is? Or would you adjust and adapt to what is clearly a dangerous situation? Would your reaction and your response be any different if you knew about it? If you knew that it was there, that it was a danger, that it was a threat? Well, you know, the logical answer is yes. Of course, we would take necessary actions to eliminate the threat. We would take the necessary precautions to protect ourselves. But that's not always the answer that is given. Because as we look at COVID-19, listen, and it's a clear and present danger, but yet, you know, and unless you've been residing on a rock or in a cave, or unless you've been following a certain misinformed cult or adopting a fake doctrine, you know without a doubt the danger is there. You know that it's dangerous. You know the threat is there, and yet many are doing absolutely nothing about it. You know what that's like? It's like standing out in the middle of the interstate, clearly seeing, watching all these 18-wheelers coming your way at top speed, and you make no attempt to get out of harm's way. You make no attempt to get out of the way. You have the ability to move. You have the time to move. You have the data that says and supports that you should move in a situation like this. And then you have all your family. You have all your friends that are there yelling and encouraging and shouting and begging, please move, move, move. And yet, you stand there talking about you're not sure if moving will really make a difference. Okay, stand there. I won't bother with it right now, but there's a word for that. Yeah, there is. But you know what? I've come to appreciate the medicines. I've come to appreciate the treatments, the technologies that we have. And I've come to appreciate the men and the women that do the research, that find the answers. I've come to appreciate the men and women that perform the task of keeping us healthy and whole. Oh, I'm so grateful for them. I mean, theirs is a thankless job, but an essential job for the survival of humanity. You know, and I'm all for all original, but I'm grateful for the things that we may lack, but we can buy or we can pay for them. You know, there are plenty of things that money can't buy, but money can buy or pay for hair. It can buy and pay for teeth, for glasses, for insurance. Are you hearing me? It can help us in all manner of ways. I'm grateful for the means and the mind to stay healthy. And I'm grateful for the wisdom to know how and to know to keep ourselves as healthy as possible. And let me tell you, my friend, instead of making excuses for your condition or trying to glorify your condition and justify it, let's see black when there's black, and let's see red when there's red. And let's see our condition for what it is. It is something that we need to give attention to, resources to, energy to, before it is everlasting too late. You know, and I think if people were as equally concerned about not wearing a mask and not taking the vaccine as they claim to be about wearing a mask and taking the vaccine, perhaps we would be out of this pandemic by now, but clearly we would be further down the road. We should be concerned about what will happen to us if we don't wear a mask, or what will happen to us if we don't get the vaccine. What will happen to us if we don't take care of ourselves? And you may be saying, there's no guarantee that the steps that are being taken now will work. There's no guarantee that it's working. I believe that the overwhelming majority of the cases, you know, I think we are doing as a country, you know, with the vaccine and other measures that are being taken, you know, and people who are taking personal responsibility in eradicating this virus, I think it's working. I think the evidence shows that it's working. I think there's a mountain of evidence that supports the claim that it is working. I mean, look at both sides if you're going to look at anything at all. There's no guarantee that it won't work or that it doesn't work. I mean, come on, I understand. Let's, you know, okay, so maybe we're taking a chance. Maybe we're taking a risk. But without these measures, without what we're doing now, we're taking a bigger chance and a bigger risk. And we're taking a much more deadly risk. Listen, my friend, I mean, just because the restaurants are open, just because the mall is open wide, just because our favorite team is playing again, that's no reason for us to be reckless. That's no reason for us to be irresponsible. I mean, just because I can have a party doesn't necessarily mean I should. And just because we can have a revival, or we can have a convention meeting or an association meeting or a conference meeting, doesn't necessarily mean that we should. As they say, we're not out of the woods yet. Just because we can have a class reunion or a family reunion is no justification for doing it. Hold up. Hold on there, cowboy. Hold up. Let me be clear. I'm not necessarily against doing things or going places. Absolutely not. I'm not against that. I believe we can do it. I believe it's all in how we do it. I believe it's in our attitude that we take towards what we do. And yes, I do think that we ought to be selective in where we go and the people that we find ourselves around, the environment in which we expose ourselves. I think we ought to be concerned about that. There's still a clear and present danger. And just because masks are not required doesn't mean we shouldn't wear one. And just because the vaccine is not mandated doesn't mean we shouldn't take the vaccine. Let me tell you something. Laws and mandates, rules and regulations, all of that, listen, requirements, they're not going to save us. Our problem and our answer is in personal attitude, personal behavior. That's it. And wherever we go and whatever we do, this is about being educated. This is about being informed. This is about personal behavior. It is about responsibility or being irresponsible. It is about using wisdom or being reckless. It's about taking precautions or playing politics. Are you hearing me, my friend? I mean, we face so many dangers each and every day. And yes, some seen, as we used to pray, some seen and unseen, at least not seen by us. And every danger and every potential danger, it is or it should be of concern to each and every last one of us. And as it relates to COVID, wisdom, wisdom, and even just common sense may tell me to wear a mask, may tell me to keep my distance. But my trust is not in a mask, it's not in distance. Listen, let me tell you something, my friend. I believe in using the brain that we have. I believe in appreciating a good mind so much that we use it on a regular basis. Wisdom and common sense may tell me to get vaccinated, but my trust is not in whether or not I get vaccinated. My trust is not in the distance, once again, that you may keep from me. My trust is in the one who walks with me and talks with me, and the word that tells me, my God shall supply my every need. But now that's me. That's me. But I recognize that not everyone is religious, not everyone believes in God, and not everyone, not even some who call themselves Christians, trust in the Lord. Good people, but may have a different view of things. To those, I would suggest that you consider the research, consider the data. I would suggest that you would rely on your intelligence and on your reasoning. And I strongly suggest that you not be ruled by politics, politicians, or by that part of corporate America that feeds off the ignorance and the fears of innocent, unsuspecting, and vulnerable people. Yes, there's a clear and present danger, but we are not without hope. We are not without help. We are not without the means to bring this danger under control. We can do it. We can do it, but we have to take personal responsibility in order to do it. Now that's my take. What do you have to say? Sound off. Well, I told you it was going to be a quick word of caution. And I try to be a man of my word. Go on and enjoy your day, my friend. And please, stay safe. Take care of your family. Don't let your guard down yet. We can never do that really, because there's always some danger of some sort. But I want to see you live. I want to see you be in good health and strength.